Welcome this edition of Political Smackdown, and I noticed, and it's going to be a special edition. Remember that during the holidays, sometimes that we go through and we have interviews with particular famous people or political figures, and also we look forward to these interviews as to giving information to you all as you watch it, that you gain some from it. So today I'm Betsy Wells, and I'm doing the interview, and I have Rebecca Johnson, who is the director of the Cleveland County Department of Social Services, with us. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me, Betsy.
All right, and people ask me, you know, I served 12 years on your board and spent 6 years as the state president of the County Boards Association, so people relate to me as being part of DSS still, although I'm not. And they'll ask me questions, and I thought when it came time to do this interview that it would be great for the people and the citizens of Cleveland County if you'd share some things with us.
Great.
Like how does social services operate in North Carolina?
Okay, great, Betsy. So in North Carolina, there are it's a federally mandated programs that are given to us by the federal government, and the state then supervises these programs, and then the county administers the program. So what this means is the federal government authorizes these national programs, they fund a portion of the programs, and the state comes in and supervises, provides us guidance, rules, policies, and then as the county, we deliver the services and benefits to the citizens of Cleveland County.
And your building's just across the road. Did you walk over? I hope not, because across that
I did not
four-lane
that four-lane highway.
But we are in proximity of your workplace.
Yeah.
But tell us how you became the director at the head of Cleveland County Department of Social Services, one of the largest counties departments in our county.
Yeah, Betsy, we employ 220 staff. Full-time staff at Cleveland County DSS, and we are located with the health department in the building at 200 South Post Road. We share that with the public health, and we provide a myriad of programs there. And I have worked for Cleveland County DSS for 26 and a half years. So started my career there in 1999 in a child welfare pilot program. I had worked prior to that with some adult service programs, and so when a position came open, I moved to that role and was a social worker in adult services for a number of years, a lead worker helping the other staff in the department, and then I became the became the program manager for adult services. And when our director at the time left, I was asked to step in as the interim director. So June of 2023, I stepped in as the interim director of Cleveland County DSS and went through some interview processes and decided I think this is something I would be interested in because I felt like I'd spent a lot of time in the department and really just had a desire to help serve the citizens of Cleveland County. So in April 2024 is when I became the permanent director. Also, I'm a native of Cleveland County, so I find that that's very important. I attended high school here and college here in the community, and so I feel I have a connection and a personal desire to help serve the citizens in the community because it's my community as well.
Thank you, and that's very good information. And I know since you are from Cleveland County and you live here, and you go to probably church here and everything.
Yes.
And do people come up to you a whole lot and just ask you about DSS when you're like at church or at the beauty shop? See, I figured so.
Lots of stops and ask questions, or even friends I've not talked with in years will send me a text and say, "Can I call you? I have a question." And so get a lot of questions, and fortunately I have some amazing staff that are able to answer all the questions because I don't know all the answers, not always the specific answers, because a lot of our programs are based on very specific information. And so you can't tell someone they'll be eligible for a program over the phone. You know, you've got to evaluate all the information. So I usually refer those to the experts in our department, and then follow back up with them to make sure, hey, did you get what you needed? So yes, get a lot of that, and folks that meet places will give people my number, and so I'm glad to do that for folks.
Well, I think it's a blessing that you are located here and you have these roots. And that leads us into what about the economic services that you're and the programs that you administer through DSS?
Okay, so in our economic services program, the programs that we administer are food stamps, food and nutrition benefits, and we have over 20,991 individuals in Cleveland County that receive food and nutrition benefits, which makes up over 10,000 households in our community. And to determine eligibility for food and nutrition benefits, it is based on your income, your household size, your assets, other factors. And so the best way to know if you're eligible is to apply through ePass. So it's epass.nc.gov. And in order to qualify, you must be a North Carolina resident, a U.S. citizen, or have certain legal statuses. And there are certain groups of folks that are not eligible for food and nutrition benefits. They're undocumented immigrants are not eligible, and certain people who've been convicted of drug-related felonies are not eligible for food and nutrition. Our next one is Medicaid. So that represents,
news.
From birth to age 64 when a person becomes eligible for Medicare. So there's a variety of programs. We added Medicaid expansion back in 2023, and number of our citizens are eligible for Medicaid in Cleveland County. We have around 30,000 individuals that receive Medicaid, some type of Medicaid benefits through the county.
And so have you been seeing any decline in being able to do Medicaid with all the changes that's gone on in Washington? Has that shown up in Cleveland County yet? Yeah,
so there are some upcoming changes that will happen in 2026 and 2027. We've not gotten clear guidance on that yet, on how those will be rolled out, but some of those regarding Medicaid and food stamps will be some work requirements that will be implemented, and we do not have all the details yet of how those will be rolled out and what those exemptions will be, but there are exemptions
down the road.
Down the road, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, another thing that people ask about, and whether they see you on the street or whatever, I even get asked about your child support services, and how are these payments determined?
So.
Go ahead, and is a father or a mother ever who's not in the home and has to pay the money, who determines how much they pay?
Yes. So our child support services are available to parents or non-parent caretakers to minor children in the community. And we assist with location of non-custodial parents, establishing or modifying these orders. The orders, once a person applies for services through Cleveland County DSS, they are assigned an agent that works with them, and the agent takes all their information through an application process that is state ran. So their income, everything, all the factors are reviewed. There are budget worksheets that are a part of the state process, and those cases then are taken to child support court, enforcement court, and they're reviewed by a judge. So the
and that's
cases,
here in Cleveland
here
County.
in Cleveland County. So it goes to one of our judges, district court judges, and they review all the information that's presented. The parents, both custodial and non-custodial, are allowed.
Explain the difference. What's custodial and non-custodial?
Okay, so the custodial parent or non-parent is the person who the child lives with at the time. The non-custodial parent would be the one that the child's not living with them.
Even though they may have visitation.
They may have visitation. Then child support services have no determination on visitation, custody, or anything like that. It's completely separate. So the paperwork does address how often the child stays with each parent. And so that is part of the formula that's on the budget worksheet and what the income is of both parents. And it is reviewed then. The department makes a recommendation off the budget worksheets.
About how much
child support, right. So we provide the budget that shows what the recommendation is based off the state criteria. And then the judge takes all the information to get to what is ordered for the payment. So after the payment is ordered, then our agents in our department help collect and process those payments to the custodial parents. And in fiscal year 24-25, we processed over $8 million. So $8 million was collected for child support obligations for minor children in the community.
And so it depends too on how many children that for child support, whether it's 1 or 2, 3, depending on how many there.
It does, yes. So it depends on the amount of children. Often in a child support case, there might be a custodial parent where there are different non-custodial parents. And so there's one case that has different non-parents involved. And so it gets to grow a little bit. And so one person's, if one non-custodial parent is not employed or employed in a lower paying job, their payment is going to be less than what a person in a higher paying job would be.
All right. Thank you. I mean, I think that, and this is child support that, is this a non-custodial parent who is behind on child support? Is that when it comes to DSS?
So we start in the beginning, but there are also, to start the process, there are also processes that we do for processing non-payments. So where we there's garnishing wages, they can have their taxes garnished as well, or either any other method that we can find to get those payments to those parents.
And that directly parents. To the children.
And goes to the benefit the child, yeah.
And so you collected $8 million.
$8 million
last year.
Last fiscal year.
Last fiscal year.
Yeah,
well,
that's right.
Good.
Yeah.
And so is there a specific day that you go to court with the judge for child support?
The child support court is usually on Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a particular judge every day? Is it the same judge?
I think those judges alternate.
Alternate.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe.
And if people have, viewers, if you have any questions, then by all means call Ms. Johnson at the DSS and talk, and she'll give you the information there. And we've already talked about how payments are. What about another service that you do is you protect children and adults. You spent your years in adult services, and that's with helping older adults sometimes that need help in all situations. What are the services to protect children and adults, and how many cases are investigated each year in our county?
Okay, so in child welfare, we accept reports based off child abuse, neglect, and dependency. And so in the fiscal year of 2024-25, we accepted and investigated 1,317 reports of child abuse, neglect, or dependency.
Would you repeat that?
1,317 accepted reports of abuse, neglect, or dependency in Cleveland County.
I'm glad you're there.
Yes. So we have a good team of social workers. There's some new trainings that are offered that the state has provided us. It's called pre-service. So staff, even if they have master's degrees in social work or any of the degrees in social work, we still have to go through the pre-service training. It takes about 4 months to get a new worker up and running. So it's a
Is it done over the internet?
It has changed now to be partly in person and some virtual. So, but the workers do have to go out of town oftentimes. We're excited. We hosted one pre-service event at our building. which was good for us because it saved us the travel and time, and then also allowed workers from other counties to come see our nice building and our staff, and maybe they would want to move over and join us when we have some vacancies. Yeah. And then we're hosting another pre-service training coming up.
So do you have a number of counties that would feed into it?
Yes, usually it's more regional.
Regional?
But
Okay.
once, initially the first training we had was a little more regional, but now that all the counties have kind of gone through the rotation, new staff that are hired could be coming from all across the state. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we need to take a break. Please come back for the interview with Rebecca Johnson with the Department of Social Services.
She gets her hair from her mom, her eyes from her dad, and her drugs from her home medicine cabinet. Fact: more people die from drug overdoses than from car crashes or gun violence. And over 50% of those deaths are from prescription drugs. Prescription drug abuse is preventable. 1. Secure and take regular inventory of our medications. 2. Dispose of unused or expired medications. 3. Share this message with others. Be aware, don't share, lock your meds.
As Cleveland County's premier event facility, LeGrand Center is the ideal location for any event. The LeGrand Center is located 45 minutes west of Charlotte, 45 minutes north of Spartanburg, and just a little over an hour east of Asheville. Whether you're a small business looking for a place for an off-site meeting or a bride looking for that special location for her wedding, LeGrand Center is the perfect place for you.
And welcome back to our interview with Rebecca Johnson, who is the director of the Cleveland County Department of Social Services. All right, we were talking about the different programs that you have, and one of the major ones, and that's dear to my heart, is the foster care and adoption. We haven't covered that. Can you give us information about how that comes about?
Yes. So foster care and adoption, so children come into custody at DSS through court processes. So if the children are not able to be cared for in the home by the parents or the guardians, whomever has them, we intervene. There are some emergency processes that we have. However, within 12 hours, we have to see a judge and get court papers, get legal papers that allow us to take physical custody of the child. And so at this point, we have about 228 children in custody in Cleveland County that are not able to live with their parents. Some of those live in licensed foster homes. Some live with relatives that have been approved through the court, or friends and family that have been approved as a fictive kin in the court system. And so those children go through court processes. We have court on Wednesdays for child welfare and those children in DSS custody. Once those children are cleared through the process and attempts to reunify with their parents have failed or other circumstances have happened, those children become cleared for adoption.
Okay.
And prior to becoming cleared for adoption, though, I want to go back and just focus on the fact that we really need more licensed foster homes in our county. So
I'm glad you
228
mentioned
children.
that. I'm glad you
yes,
mentioned
228 children, and we have 58 licensed foster homes. And once a home is full, so they can have up to 5 children in the home. But if you have 2 or 3 either biological children or adopted children, you only have room for 1 or 2 more. So most of the ones we have at this point are full, or either they're fostering to adopt. And so we have a class, it's Model Approach to Parenting, the MAP, M-A-P-P, and those classes, we host those at our office twice a year, and that is the process to become a licensed foster parent. So it's a 13-week class that's offered at our office. Sharina Camp is our foster care social worker that does those. We usually put those things out on our Cleveland County government social media pages with the dates. We have one coming up in February. 2026 is our next class. We just finished one. But I want to talk about what a good job our team has done with adoptions, Betsy.
Okay, good.
So in 22-23 fiscal year, when I first became interim director, we were completing that year. We had only completed 7 adoptions. No fault of the staff, just that time in court, vacancies, just all the factors. There is a lot of factors to adopting a child. There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of steps that are out of our control, with paperwork, working with other entities throughout the state. And so in fiscal year 22-23, we processed 7 adoptions. So the next fiscal year, 23-24, we were able to hire some new staff, reallocate some of those staff to work on adoptions, and we were able to double that.
Wonderful.
14. And so just finishing up here with fiscal year 2024-25, we processed 26 adoptions. So almost double.
Wonderful.
Almost doubled again. But we were really excited about how hard those workers are working with our adoptive families to get these children permanence. And so there are other ways of permanence for a child. Adoption is the most common one. You know, these workers do work to try to reunify them with their parents if possible. And we provide services to help that, or either maybe guardianship with a relative. That is a possibility to obtain permanence as well. But we're really excited about our adoption numbers and how hard the team's worked on that. And we would just love to have anyone in the community that's interested in becoming a licensed foster parent to reach out to us.
And I know that you work very hard to get that. And so our viewers out there, please, if you know of anyone that would be interested in fostering a child, and become a foster parent, by all means contact DSS. And so you can do that, because there's a great need in our community to do that. But thank you for that information. Well, what's happening too in changes in child welfare?
So in child welfare, the recent change that's come up is, so we were still using the same computer system when I started in '99. Old green screen for our child welfare intakes and case management. And every county had different systems. None of them talked to each other. You know?
I remember that.
Yeah, and so I will say when I started in '99, there was talks about having a system statewide. And every year it would be, well, we don't have the funds, we're not doing it. Well, they did. And around 2023, they started talking about a new system. The state has implemented, it's called Path NC, Partnership and Technology Hub for NC. So Cleveland County went live in Path in August of 2025.
Okay.
So we've been in a couple months now. Things are going well. But this is part of a modernization. And by 2026, all 100 counties in the state of North Carolina will be using this. And we will be able to see real-time data. It really will be helpful in improving outcomes for children and families across the state. And so we're really excited how that platform will be used and then continue to grow into other services at the time.
And well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And by doing statewide, this means that maybe a child whose family moves around goes from county to county. Address that.
Yes. So if a family moves from county to county, previously we would have to just look around for those. There were some older systems, some central registry systems and things, and we would check criminal records and stuff to try to find people. calling other counties, but it was time consuming. And
Oh,
so,
yes.
you know, when you're looking at the amount of time it would take to do that, a child could be abused. Neglected during that time frame. So now with all counties going into there by the beginning of 2026, I think there's about 86 counties as of November 2025 right now that are in PATH. We can go in and look at all the data. We can look at to see where that family's receiving services at. Reach out to those social workers or that county immediately and start coordinating the processes. So it's a wonderful system. I'm thankful that I always said that I hope in my career at DSS that we would see one system for child welfare to be able to enter these reports and to be able that would talk with other counties. So glad that North Carolina finally was able to bring that
about.
Yes.
When I spent those 12 years on the board here and worked with the state, that was an ongoing problem, and then they would bring it out, and it would be in like child nutrition, and it would be in something else. So I'm just so delighted that it finally has gotten done.
Yes.
All right, that's great.
And it interfaces with our NC FAST as well.
Okay.
Yes. And so parts of those do interface with each other.
Well, what is NC FAST?
So NC FAST is our system that determines our eligibility for food and nutrition and Medicaid programs, along with some of our other programs. So the information, the person information, social security numbers, date of birth, are in that system. And so they do talk to each other a little bit to where at least it'll show up as like a case, and you'll be able to link over quickly to see, okay, that child is maybe receiving food and nutrition benefits through grandma. So maybe we find out then child's living with grandma through that system.
Well, good. I know that what you have talked about today, Rebecca, just gladdens my heart, because I know that the years of trying to get it done and trying to get the state on board and trying and to get the computer system, and I know that when people talk about DSS, it's usually when there's something happened, like a child has been abused or an awful case where a child has been neglected. And first thing they say, well, was DSS involved? And I know the depth and the work that DSS goes to make sure that children are protected. And I just wanted you to stress that today, because I just think I'm very proud of what Cleveland County DSS does. Our director had been over the years the director of the year, and also whenever Social Services Institute is in Hickory once a year, and our DSS would send nominations for programs, for awards, and we always won awards. And I'm just very happy that we were able to do that and bring you in today to just give us an update. And I hope that you have learned a lot about DSS and what they do and how important it is to have them in our county and the services that they give. And thank you, Rebecca Johnson, for being here, the director of the Cleveland County Department of Social Services.
Thank you for having me, Betsy, and thank you to the viewers for listening in on our information, and just reach out to us and let us know if there's any questions that you have.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jamie Henderson, Work-Based Learning Coordinator at Cleveland Community College. Thank you for watching C19, Cleveland County's hometown channel.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.